How to be a giver in a relationship. For those of you men who have difficulty giving, either you give to your partner and it's not received appropriately, or you don't know how to give. So giving is expression. Okay. So if we have difficulty expressing our feelings, expressing our needs, our wants, taking action, basically that is going to cross over into our relationships, meaning we don't know how to give to a relationship. Okay, so I'm going to share with you all some ways in which can help you to navigate this whole giving in a relationship. Okay, because we know relationship is about giving and taking, but for some people, particularly men, we have the social conditioning that we aren't really meant to be expressive as men, okay? Creatively expressive, emotionally expressive, these kinds of things. But that is the giving. That's the feminine aspect of ourselves, okay? So women have this natural native ability to be endless givers. And we know this, okay? As women, and I'm sure men know this too. We are highly expressive, and we're also very nurturing, and we are very nourishing, okay? Now for men who want to really awaken that feminine aspect of themselves so that they can experience more harmonious relationship with a woman, okay, it does first start with the self. It starts with you as a man really tapping into your feminine side, because all men have a feminine side and all women have a masculine side. So I may be a woman and may be more inclined to be nurturing and to be a giver, but I also have that masculine part of myself, which is about discipline and structure and boundaries and protection, because I'm a human and I need that to basically kind of survive in this world. Same thing with men. They're more inclined to be less expressive and more focused on structure, on discipline, on grounding things, such as grounding the home, grounding the career, these kinds of things. But men need that nurturing, that nourishing side of themselves, that giving side of themselves, because that overall gives them a sense of emotional fulfillment. Okay, and men who do not have that emotional fulfillment within themselves, you see those men, they may be very focused on grounding things, but they don't have this liveliness or this spirit. Okay, we see it in people. It's like this glow of emotional balance or emotional fulfillment. Okay. So women, we represent emotional fulfillment, and men represent, we could talk about getting grounded and getting practical, okay, being rational and kind of navigating this whole institution we call life. We need both, okay? So for men, if you want to kind of figure out how you can better give, first, it is to really check in with yourself, okay? Are you closed off to your emotions? Are you numbing your emotions? Are you distracting your emotions? Are you kind of checked out emotionally, okay? Because it's going to be very hard to give to anybody, particularly your female, if you're really just kind of like numbed out or checked out emotionally. So if you're dealing with like heavy emotions, such as grief or loss or disappointment or mistakes, these kinds of things, it's important for you to find a creative outlet in which you can express your feelings in a safe environment, okay? And I mean safe where you are received. So sometimes as men, we kind of vent out to our guy friends or whatnot, but we're not really received, okay? We're not received because it's very hard to be received if who we are expressing ourselves to is kind of unavailable. Okay, and we know they're kind of unavailable, they're closed off themselves, okay? So that comes with ourselves. So when we begin to express ourselves, a lot of times it's through creativity as a man, because creativity represents those lower chakras, okay? Now, a lot of times, men have that, that second chakra, which can be about sexuality, sensuality. And for men, that can be a way for them to kind of express whatever they need to express. They use it, through sex or whatnot. But when we talk about the more elevated way, okay, the elevated way in which we can express ourselves that leads to more emotional clarity rather than emotional sort of confusion, is turning that, we could say, sensual or sexual energy into creativity. And creativity is so vast, it's so deep, it's a voyage, and it takes you to the piano class, it takes you to the soccer field, it takes you to an art class. I mean, whatever it is, creativity is the feminine, okay? So when men are being creative in whatever way, it could be just being in a rock band or something, who knows, whatever it is, it really helps them get in touch with their more feminine side, because we know creativity is fruition, it is about fertility. Okay, and it's a lot of times associated with like sex. I have a high sex drive. Really just means you have a high creative drive, or you have a high drive to express yourself. Okay, and that's wonderful, but sometimes it can get very like confusing when we're kind of using that on other people through like intercourse. Okay, because sexual interaction with people is not for that reason. Okay, it's not for, let me just kind of express my emotional blockages through that. It's that there's this kind of a different, for a different purpose, you could say, okay? So when, as men, when you really kind of become more expressive through creativity and whatever that is for you, when you feel like more available to yourself, then you start to get more available to giving to a partner, okay? A woman particularly, okay? So when we see men who are unavailable emotionally, I hear such things. Unavailable emotionally, physically, or just kind of checked out, that kind of thing. It just means that a man is not available to himself. He's not available to his emotions. He's kind of shut down on his emotions, because men experience hurt, and they experience regret, and they experience grief. But for men, they are socially taught to basically confine themselves and lock it down. Okay, so, and a lot of times they can lock it down for decades, okay, and what that does is it just really creates this creative block, okay, where they just don't really feel, ideas aren't really coming to them. They're like, I'm not really feeling visionary today, or visionary this whole decade, okay. So when we become more available to ourselves as men, we can become available to a person, okay, particularly a female. And being available to yourself is creating a safe environment, so where we can be received. A lot of times men, it's hard for them to be received in environments, because with men, okay, groups of men, usually it's the whole compare, contrast, and compete. And there's no receiving of any sort of emotion within that. There's just no space for that. But what that causes is this emotional unfulfillment, okay? I may be practical, I may be getting things done in my, financial world or whatever, manifesting world, but I don't really feel like lively. I don't feel spunky. I just don't feel that pizzazz for life. It's because that emotions. We don't have a safe environment for us to be received in a way that is non-judgmental. So that's why it's hard for guys to kind of have that non-judgmental kind of expression of emotion, okay? Because that compare, compete, and contrast that guys do is like, I don't want to hear about that kind of your emotions. Just turn it off, okay? Wipe it up, kind of thing. So when we kind of move beyond that as men, we get into that zone where we start to learn what makes us feel safe and what doesn't. What makes us feel creative in a way where we're expressing ourselves that really opens up the emotions, in a way where we're not losing control of our emotions, but that creative, whatever it is helping us to get a hold on our emotions, to turn those emotions into realizations, into epiphanies, into growth. That's what emotions, they're there. We want to emotionally mature. And that's one of the toughest lessons for women and men, is to emotionally mature. And that never happens until we really find that safety, as well as that creative thing we do that really helps us feel like we getting a manage over our emotions, we're getting realizations, and we're also getting more emotionally solid within ourselves. Okay, solid in what emotionally is unacceptable, okay, and what is actually going to make us feel more fulfilled. So when I'm going to talk about, okay, so now we kind of got into like, you know, you need to do the thing with yourself, okay, really kind of talk to yourself if you need to as a man, and kind of see like, okay, like, woo, what am I feeling? Is it really heavy in my heart chakra, or is it really closed off? Am I numb to that kind of thing? Okay, kind of open it up, like just let some things, woo, just shake it out, just really shake that energy out, okay, move some energy in your body, and that will really help you to kind of get some emotion, woo, like fanned out, so you don't have to like vent to people. Like, you can just move your body, and for men particularly, that helps them to really like fan out some of that emotion. Just move your body, okay, move your body. And that's why women, we're more energetic than men, because we have more emotion than men, okay, we have more emotional capacity than men, okay, because we have a larger heart chakra, because that's our design as a woman, okay, because we create the next generation, and that's a big emotional responsibility on women. So we naturally are more energetic, because the way to move emotions is not to dwell in your emotions, to not just sit and stare at the wall. It is to literally get yourself up, get yourself moving, move those emotions through your physical body. Don't let it get stagnant in your heart. Move it through exercise or anything that really just gets your body like just going, like just move some of that stuff out, move it around, come on, you know, that kind of thing. And as women, we do that, or we have to do that, because, you know, we have a lot of emotions, okay, that need to constantly be moved around. So for men, you have to do the same thing, okay? Don't dwell. Just kind of get your body moving in certain ways, and that will help you to also have realizations about what is the lesson, the message of that emotion. It's not there for you to have suffering. It's there for you to have a breakthrough or some sort of epiphany that can improve your life, and that can improve the way you are interacting with yourself and the way you're interacting with other people, which is kind of really important to grow and mature on the way you kind of interact with other people emotionally. So that's really what's going on, okay? But it can be very heavy and very challenging, but also very eye-opening, and you can have tremendous growth and development through going into that, you know, that emotional expression, no matter how much you want to cry or scream, is to put in that creative affirmation or that creative upliftment or that creative empowerment that really helps you to soothe that judgment we all have, either shame, blame, guilt, whatever it is, to really calm that judgment, okay? And judgment is very destructive. So if you have a lot of self-judgment, self-criticism, you need to be more creative, okay? You need to balance it out through creativity, because creativity is about upliftment, empowerment, realization, these kinds of things, okay? So judgment is really heavy, okay? It can destroy you, okay? And it destroys people. We have targeted groups of people off of judgment. We've even done genocide off of judgment. That is very destructive energy, okay? So to be creative is a way to move your body in a way where you are cultivating compassion, you're cultivating forgiveness, you're connecting with the emotional fulfillment of joy, okay? Joy through courage or through liberation or self-empowerment, these kinds of things, okay? And we all go through this. Every single human being is going through this kind of stuff. So when we are actually ready to kind of step up and to kind of express ourselves emotionally and be available in a way where we are receptive to ourselves, okay, and also receptive to the other in a way that is very emotionally strong, okay, we can kind of see how we can better give to our partner through learning, we could say, the love languages. So all of us have a dominant love language. So we know there's 5 love languages. And when you're in a relationship, it's good to know that person's love language. And it's good to know your own first. So the 5 love languages are, and I know it's a lot of information, the first one is words of affirmation. Okay, so that's about support, encouragement. So your partner may, when you are supportive of them or you encourage them to, go after this, new job or to take initiation or to assert themselves, and you see that they light up, that may be their love language. Words of affirmation, to just give them a pat on the back, support, encourage them. The next love language is quality time. And quality time is somebody who could be nature walks. It could just be something being present. Okay, they like to be present. They like to be still. They like to be quiet. They like to just kind of breathe together. Okay, even do yoga together, or just be in this ambience of closeness, of fondness with each other. And gifts, as we know it, is more of like people light up when they get gifts, presents and whatnot. That may be their love language. They really light up when they see that you got them even like a little teddy bear, or got you, like if you're an artist, they bought you some art pencils or something like that, and they're like, oh, what? Yes, you did that. Or they got you a crystal. It could even be like a $2 thing. It's not something like $2,000 thing. It could be $2. They get you a little succulent kind of thing, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's the gifts. Now, acts of service is when you you do things for them. That could be like you drive them to work, or or you like to, maybe you're helping them manage their finances, or you are a guide to them with their business, or you help them manage their business, okay? Or you are, let's say they have some sort of, they teach yoga and you hand out the flyers to the yoga students or whatnot. Or let's say they're a teacher and you come to their class to kind of, help them with show and tell or something like that. That's kind of acts of service. And the last one is physical touch. So you may have a person who lights up when you touch them, or they may be more sensual or sexual in the way that they feel a bond or a deeper connection through, like when you touch their knee, or when you give them a hug, or when you just kind of touch their face or kiss their forehead, or kiss whatever part of their body, and that really stimulates them in a very beautiful way. Okay, so you can do things to you could go through each of these 5 love languages and kind of try out to see what works. So you could try all of them and see, how does your partner respond to each of them, and see, does your partner light up more when you do a particular one? For example, let's say you touch them and you see that they light up a lot more than, let's say, you buy them a gift. Okay, so when you buy them a gift, they light up like this, but when you just touch them, like, that's how you can kind of know the love language. And even know it like with yourself as well is very important. So how to kind of know it about yourself, there's ways in your astrological chart that you can learn about your love language. It's your Venus and it's your midheaven. So my Venus is in Pisces. So for me, my love language would be more so quality time, because Pisces is very much about just being, okay? It's just like that beingness of just being with each other, like being creative, and then they're being creative, and just kind of looking at each other and just just appreciating each other kind of thing. That's my love language. So I enjoy maybe nature walks, or just kind of moments of just feeling that person is sending me love. And it can be so simple, okay? Or it can be more, I don't know, like an extended out, such as a person who really shows me through their body language, or shows me through just their communication. Okay, quality time is also about communication. Communication that, hey, I'm here, like, I got your back, that kind of thing. So also your midheaven. So midheaven is about the role you play for humanity. So that's kind of like the overall sort of purpose of which you want to extend yourself to humanity. Okay, the purpose. Okay, what you want to give. And I also have that in Pisces. So that also really emphasizes that quality time. Okay, because Pisces really is about that quality time, being, and it could also be acts of service as well. Okay, so it's really an intuitive quest. Okay, an intuitive quest for you. Okay. Now, if you are a very fiery person, you love it when that person is just very fiery with you, you could be physical. Or let's say you are kind of more intellectual, could be more quality time and words of affirmation is what you like to receive. Okay. But I just gave you the 5 love languages because it's just a tip on how you can kind of better navigate the whole giving, how you can better give, and how you can kind of know what you like to receive, or what really lights you up when you receive. Okay, so again, I'll go over them, and you can kind of see, maybe maybe one lights you up more than the other. Okay, and that may be the one where you're like, oh, yeah, that's it, that's really my love language. You can have even more than one. Okay, and it changes. But usually we have one that kind of, or two that really just like really lights us up. So you can just kind of check in and just see, like, with your feelings and your emotions, what makes you feel emotionally fulfilled in receiving, and also what makes the other emotionally fulfilled when you give that to them. So words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, acts of service, physical touch. So I'm going to leave you guys with this to kind of put in your mind and kind of, do your own sort of quest, and kind of check in with yourself to see what lights you up when you receive this, and what lights your partner up when you give this. And particularly for men, this will help you to be a better giver. So like I said, the planet Venus represents fertility. It represents emotional fulfillment, okay? And that also represents emotional fulfillment within a relationship. So that's why I look at Venus to see kind of what brings me emotional fulfillment in relationships, okay? You can kind of see that. And then the midheaven is like your role to play. So it's also your role to play and how your partner can help you fulfill that. That's very important, okay? Your partner should help you fulfill that role to play for humanity, or whatever it could be. Whatever it is, it could be so many things. And also should help you fulfill that Venus of feeling emotionally abundant and emotionally fertile, okay? So I'll leave you guys with this.